Your monthly subscription box from postflybox.com includes all the materials needed to tie a dozen flies, along with some extra goodies. The silver slider is a streamer pattern intended to imitate small, slender bait fish. Its construction helps it to ride hook point up when retrieved, thus making it less likely to get snagged on the bottom, yet quite likely to hook a predatory fish. It starts with a size 6 curved shank hook. Begin by getting the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. Although a rotary vise helps when tying this pattern, it certainly isn't essential. Load a bobbin with a spool of white unithread. Get the thread started on the hook shank immediately behind the eye and take a few wraps rearward before snipping off the excess tag. Continue taking thread wraps rearward to cover up about 2 eye lengths of the hook shank. Tease up a square inch of white craft fur and snip it off down close to the backing. Strip out the lower, shorter underfur and get hold of the remaining clump in the fingers of your right hand. Measure to form a body about 2 full hooks in length, then hold that point over top of your tying thread. Pass the fur to your left hand, then take nice tight wraps to secure it to the top of the hook shank. Lift the butts up and snip them off at a shallow angle. Take thread wraps to cover the butt ends and end with your thread at the base of the craft fur. Rotate your vise or flip the fly over in it so the hook point is up, as shown here. Now, tease up and snip free about the same amount of orange craft fur. As before, strip out the underfur, then place the material on the underside of the hook shank so its tips are aligned with the tips of the white craft fur. Again, take nice tight thread wraps to secure it, then lift the butt ends up and snip them off close. Continue taking thread wraps to cover up the butts and produce a smooth head on the fly, like so. Part the recently installed craft fur to either side of the hook, then flip the fly back up so the white fur is on top. Snip 4 strands of pearl flashabou free from the hank and locate their approximate midpoint. Place that midpoint against the near side of the hook down by the darker craft fur, and take wraps of tying thread to secure it there, roughly parallel to the hook shank. Pull the forward pointing portion of the flashabou over to the far side of the fly and lash it down in the same manner as you did on the near side. Once again, take thread wraps to cover everything up. Pull the flashabou back and, if necessary, snip it off. You want the strands to be about the same length as the craft fur. Get hold of a small amount of the blood red SST dubbing, double it over, and snip the fold to form a nice little clump. Then, snip one end off square. Get hold of the squared off end and place it against the near side of the hook so it extends rearward to just shy of the hook point. Take a few thread wraps to lock it in place, then lift the excess butt ends up and snip them off close. Maintaining your grip on the clump, again snip one end off square and place that end against the far side of the hook in the same manner as you did on the near side. Repeat the tie-in and trimming procedure as before. As you've been doing, cover everything up with wraps of tying thread while working to produce a nice smooth head on the fly. Pick up your whip finish tool and use it to do a 5 or 6 turn whip finish, then seat the knot well and snip your tying thread free. Peel one of the 3D eyes from the backing and place it over top of the thread wraps on the near side of the hook. Pick up a second eye and position it on the far side of the hook so the 2 eyes are mirror images of each other. Place a bit of UV cure resin on a scrap piece of paper and use a bodkin to pick up just a small amount. Place the resin on top of the hook shank between the 2 eyes, then give it a shot of UV light to cure it. This should lock the eyes into place. To make sure they're not going anywhere, flip the fly over and do the same on the other side. With the eyes really secured, you can go to work filling in the spaces both top and bottom between the eyes. Make sure you've given everything a good bath of UV light and that the resin has completely set. The fly should now look something like this. Get hold of a black permanent marker with a medium tip and use it to make 3 or 4 vertical marks going down the body of the fly, as shown here. Do this on both sides of the fly. Again, this pattern is really meant to ride with the hook point up, so the darker craft fur will be on top of the lighter to mimic the coloration of a natural bait fish.